everybody, and welcome to the 5th episode of my podcast series, erusha no Sharui Talk, where we talk about otaku culture, voice acting, language learning, life in Japan, and more. I'm your host Erusha, a trilingual voice actress and Vtuber fluent in English, Japanese, and Mandarin Chinese. Every episode, I will be answering your questions, giving advice, and talking based on submissions sent in by my community. How is everything going? Oh my god, it's been so long since I did a podcast episode. I hope everything is running okay. If this is your first time, this is my special podcast studio. And thank you to everyone who sent in a submission for today. We have lots to go through today, and I will be giving you guys some updates on my life in Japan as well. So, it's been almost a full year since I moved to Japan. So today, I'll be talking about life updates, my future plans in Japan, and also I will be giving some advice to my viewers who have sent in submissions for this episode. It's been so long since my last podcast episode because I was busy with work and streaming, but also because I didn't get a lot of submissions from my community. So if you want more podcast episodes where I do deep dives into topics that my community sends me, make sure to send in a submission for the next episode. So, first of all, I want to give you guys an update for my current living situation in Japan and my plans going forward. So I moved to Japan on a working holiday visa last April. So that visa is going to expire late next month. I'm currently in the process of renewing my visa to a working visa, and I'm currently employed by Merriweather Media. You might have heard of them before. They are a webcomic studio that also runs a VTuber agency, and I'm currently doing some translation, editing, and social media management for the company. I'm really happy to be a part of Merriweather Media. I'm really good friends with some people in the company like AJ and Emma, and I've been doing voice acting for their comics here and there ever since moving to Japan, so I'm glad to say that I am now officially a part of the company. Yay! So currently I live in a small 1K apartment in Tokyo. If you don't know what 1K is, it's basically just a kitchen. You get a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom, and that's it. And I recently just bought a monitor and a new chair. Since most of my work is from home and I plan to stay in Japan for at least the next few years, I thought I should invest into making my working space more comfortable. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to have found a job in Japan that allows me to work from home for the most part and can also sponsor my visa. And also it gives me the flexibility to keep doing content creation and be a freelance voice actress. So yeah, I'm really happy to join Merriweather Media. And currently my plans for the foreseeable future is to continue doing content creation. Live streaming games that I enjoy, chatting with my community, doing podcast episodes like this, making videos that either showcase my voice acting talent, or just making videos that's something that I want to make, like things I'm passionate about, things that I enjoy making, like more Japan vlogs. I might become a little slower with updating my channel if my main job gets busier, but I have no plans to stop making content because I love doing it. Another goal that I have is to continue building up my reputation and profile as a voice actress, whether that's through collaborating with other creators or just putting myself out there and doing my best on every project that I'm involved in. My ultimate dream is still to be able to be a part of an anime or game that I really love, and I want to be one of the first, if not the first, voice actor to voice a notable character in 3 languages officially. And I want to become successful enough that I can be acknowledged by the people that I look up to. So yeah, that's a little update about how I've been doing and what I plan to do from here on out. Let's move on to looking at some submissions sent from my community for this episode. So, first we have a submission from erutato named Sean. Konnichiwa, ni hao ya, good day. Wow, love the trilingual greeting. I watched your collab with Dogen, and I really enjoyed the comedy and your voice acting in particular. I also checked out your channel and was surprised not only how versatile your voice is, but also that you've mastered Japanese, English, and Chinese. I'm a Chinese Aussie, currently studying Japanese, and you've really inspired me to keep going. Oh, I'm glad! I understand if it's personal given the nature of being a VTuber, but if you're willing to share, could you tell me a bit about your background and how you got so fluent in all 3 languages? I'm also curious how you came across this opportunity to work with Dogen. Oh, great question! So, first of all, Sean, I'm really glad to hear that I was able to inspire you to keep studying Japanese. That always makes me very happy. I think I've spoken about this multiple times already in my live streams, but to put it simply, I learned Chinese from speaking to my parents growing up. And I learned English from growing up and going to school in Australia. I mean, my entire education since I was 6 years old was in English. So English is my first language. And Japanese is the one language that I learned on my own through mostly media consumption. A lot of people ask about how I became so fluent in Japanese, especially because I have a pretty native accent too. And I can't give an 100% answer because honestly, I don't know either. But I believe it's because I've been watching anime in Japanese since I was really young, and I just absorbed it naturally. My discovery of the fact that I understood Japanese was literally watching Pretty Rhythm and noticing that there were no subtitles at the little section at the end, and yet I somehow knew what was going on and just watched 50 episodes. And I didn't even notice that this whole time I was watching this section of the anime with no subtitles. So that was my realization that I now understand Japanese. I think it really helps to start language learning young because, obviously when you are younger, you have good neuroplasticity. If anybody has ever taken psychology, you know what neuroplasticity is. It's basically like your brain's ability, kinda, to like absorb and learn new information. So it is true, when you try to learn things when you're younger, you definitely have an advantage. So, might be too late now if you're listening to this podcast, but I don't know, if you have children in the future or something, make sure that if you want your children to learn multiple languages, get them into it when they are young, okay? But yeah, I think what made me so fluent in Japanese is the fact that I was literally obsessed with Japanese media. I exclusively only watched anime and J-dramas. Yes, I was such a weeb. I absolutely loved listening to radio shows hosted by Japanese voice actors. That's actually why it was one of my dreams to start my own podcast. And every day, I basically just surrounded myself with Japanese. And I did this because I liked Japanese media, not because I was trying to learn it. It was such a subconscious learning process for me because I never consumed all this content with the intention of becoming fluent in Japanese. I just really liked what I was watching and what I was listening to. I did have to learn how to read and write though through more traditional means, like just trying to remember shit. But in terms of speaking fluency, I have no better advice to give than just consume Japanese media as much as you can. Just consume. Surround your yourself, your environment with Japanese, whether that's watching anime, watching Japanese YouTubers or VTubers, or watching J-dramas. Do anything you can to surround yourself with Japanese, and you will probably absorb it naturally. I don't think I need to explain how I'm fluent in English. It's literally my first language. But for Chinese, I think it really helped that my parents never stopped talking to me in Chinese. And that's why I never completely forgot it and was able to retain my native accent. I had a lot of Chinese friends in Australia who couldn't really speak Chinese that well and had to go to Chinese school or clearly had a bit of a foreign accent because their parents would talk to them in like a dialect, like Shanghainese or something, or they would just talk to their kids in English. And when parents do that, kids will forget. So I think it's really good that my parents were like dead set on like, we're not gonna make her forget Chinese. We're gonna speak Chinese to her as much as we can. So thanks to my parents doing that, I learned English at school and then I retained my Chinese skills at home. And then Japanese, I'm just a weeb. It's like family influence, school influence, weeb influence. That's basically how I learned my 3 languages. And for the second part of Sean's question, as for how I got the opportunity to work with Dogen, he actually just DM'd me on Twitter. I woke up one day to a sudden DM from Dogen, and of course I was shocked, but I read his message, and he had a project that he wanted to work with me on. I think Dogen found my profile initially on Fiverr, but he decided to reach out to me personally. He was so nice, like, he praised my voice acting skills a lot, and I was really nervous and not sure if I was worthy to be working with him, but he really trusted my skills and my ability to bring his idea to life, which helped me gain a lot of confidence. Dogen and I are actually currently working on another project together, which is obviously a secret, but I am very excited for it to come out. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to Dogen for finding me. If you guys don't know Dogen, he's a YouTuber. He makes these skits about like life in Japan. It's really funny. You should go check him out, subscribe to his channel. But the opportunity to work with Dogen kind of validated all of the hard work that I had put in to make voice acting content and just putting myself out there. Because if I didn't do all that, he would have never found me. If I never decided, oh, I'm gonna try Fiverr, oh, I'm gonna make a Twitter profile and start like promoting myself and putting my voice acting stuff out there, oh, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel and post these videos of me doing voice acting. If I never did all of that, Dogen would have never found me. So it really validated all of the hard work I had put in so far. I had periods where I was really depressed over how it seems like no matter how hard I try to showcase my voice acting talent, it didn't seem to reach many people. Like, you know, it was normal for my videos to get like 100, 200 views. And it was very hard in the beginning to get anybody to notice me. But now that my channel has grown and I've had the opportunity to work with so many more people, I'm really glad that I decided to put myself out there, and I'm glad that I believed in myself, you know? Because you have to believe that if you're good at something, eventually people will find you. And it happened. People found me. There are now a lot of people who know me. So yeah, after working with Dogen, I've had the opportunity to connect with even more amazing creators. And right now, I'm surrounded by so many kind, passionate people, so many talented creators who acknowledge my skills and what I do. It really helped with my imposter syndrome and gave me more confidence as a creator. So yeah, very long tangent, but I just want to say I'm really grateful to Dogen, and he's now a good friend of mine. Yeah! Thank you for your submission, Sean. Alright, let's see. What do we have next? Let me drink some water. Next, we have a submission from erutato named Tofik. Edu, I am planning on starting content creation for the first time. Ooh, but I actually don't know where to begin, especially which platform to start with, even what apps to use for streaming, recording, editing, using a face cam, and so on. I also want to do this as a primary job if I was able to success if that happens. So, Edu, what are your tips for starters like me to start off as a content creator? How do I prepare my setup in terms of equipment, apps for streaming, and so on? Thank you. Wow, perfect question after I just blabbered so long about content creation. Okay, so my tips for people who want to start content creation. Well, first of all, I'm biased, but I like YouTube. A lot of my streamer friends tell me that I should move to Twitch for streaming, but I like the fact that YouTube saves all of my VODs and I get a lot of traction from VOD views, so that's always a bonus. You don't get that on Twitch. On YouTube, you can post videos, do live streams, and post short videos all on one channel. And everything contributes to your overall growth and viewership. So I think having a YouTube channel is pretty much a must for all content creators. But it is difficult to start on YouTube from zero, especially if you are planning to make streaming content primarily. So if you want to focus on mostly streaming, I would recommend starting on Twitch and then either doing multi-streaming, so streaming to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time once you build up a bit of a following, or just save your Twitch VODs and upload all of them to YouTube. But yeah, regardless of whether you stream on YouTube or Twitch or anywhere else, you should always be uploading to YouTube, that's for sure. I would also recommend having basically an account on every social media platform like Twitter or X, Instagram, TikTok. It's really important to have a brand for your content and make sure that people can find you anywhere. That was one of my mistakes actually when I first started. Like, I made a profile on Fiverr. I had the name Erusha, but I didn't really have a brand for myself. I didn't really have a character that represented me. I didn't have a logo or anything like that. Back then, my profile picture was just this cat that I doodled. And when I was just starting out with no brand, no social media, no nothing, just put up a profile on Fiverr, Zentreya from VShoujo actually commissioned me to voice the narration for her very first lore video. And obviously, like, that's a huge opportunity that I got, right? And that's like really big on my portfolio and a really great connection. But because I didn't have a brand of my own back then, no Twitter, no like social media, no character or logo that represented my brand, I wasn't able to build that connection. She did credit me. I am credited as Erusha in the description of the video, but because I didn't have like my own channel, my own social media, she couldn't like link to any of that, and I wasn't able to build that connection and maybe work with her again in the future. So that's one of my big regrets. Make sure you don't make the same mistake that I did, and make sure that once you've decided you're going to be a content creator or you want to make a name for yourself online, build a brand for yourself. But yeah, what else? Make short form content. I'm not the biggest fan of short form content, but unfortunately, it does perform very well. And with every generation's attention span getting shorter and shorter, making short form videos is the easiest way to grow and have people find you. So I would recommend making funny short videos or make live stream highlight videos for both TikTok and YouTube Shorts. As for preparing your setup, if you want to live stream, you need a PC or a really beefy laptop like the one that I'm currently using to stream in Japan. I use the Dell G16 gaming laptop. You can Google it if you're interested. It was like 2,000 something AUD, so not cheap. I definitely would recommend getting a PC because you can get one for the same price with probably better specs. But yeah, if your hardware specs are not high enough, you will be limited to just doing chatting streams and maybe streaming like visual novels, because you need a decently good graphics card and other parts to be able to stream games, especially if you want to stream more high intensity games with good graphics. You'll also need a decent microphone. I think most streamers recommend starting off with the Shure SM7B mic, but I use a Rode NT USB mic. That is what you're hearing my voice from right now. And it's lasted me like 3 years, and it's still pretty good. So it's up to you which one you want to get. I think Rode NT USB should be a little cheaper. But yeah, I think spending around $150 to $200 on a decent sounding USB mic is good enough for when you're starting off. Don't cheap out and get a super shitty mic under $50. I did that. I got like a $35 shitty mic from, I think it was like Dick Smith or something, and it was so bad, the audio sounded like crap, and I ended up having to resell it because it was just useless. So yeah, if you get a shitty mic under like $50, it's probably not gonna have good audio and you'll just be wasting your money. So make sure that you're spending at least like $150-ish. I think that's a safe range. And also don't splurge. Don't splurge on a $500 to $1,000 mic. You do not need that, okay? You do not need a $500 to $1,000 mic when you are just starting off. Make sure that content creation is a path that you want to go down on and that it's something that's sustainable for you. It's something that you like first before you invest into better equipment. Okay? Okay? So yes, around $150 to $200 I think is good to spend for your first mic. And then for your streaming software, use OBS. It's free, easy to install, easy to understand. If you don't get it, there are tons of tutorials for how to use OBS on YouTube, and OBS is pretty much what everyone uses. I'm using OBS right now. Your favorite streamer probably uses OBS, so yeah, just use OBS. Was there any other software that we wanted to recommend? Let me think. I think you just for editing, I think for recording you can use OBS as well. As for editing, you can use DaVinci. I think if you want a free option, DaVinci is good. If you're willing to pay, there's more options, but I'm not really good at recommending editing softwares because I use this free app called Bijian. I use the free application that comes with Bilibili. It's called Bijian, and I edit on my iPad. People think I'm absolutely stupid for doing that, but trust me, Bijian's really good. And I like editing on my iPad. I like that I can carry my iPad to a cafe and edit anywhere. I like that I can edit on my bed, okay? Don't make fun of me. I actually quite like Bijian. But if you don't understand Chinese, it might be a bit hard to navigate the app. If you don't mind though, try downloading Bijian. It's actually a really good editing app. I edit all of my videos on that app. But yeah, on PC, I would recommend DaVinci. So yeah, good luck on becoming a content creator. I know it's daunting at first, like, bruh, I had no idea what the fuck an OBS was or what a PC part was before I started. I had to ask around, like, especially just my guy friends who have their own PC build. I was like, hey, what parts do you think I should get? You just ask around. It's okay if you don't understand anything to begin with. Just ask around. Just ask around. Do research online, and one day it will become common knowledge to you. So, yeah, just give it a try, and it'll be fine. 頑張ってください. Hi. Okay. Next, we have a submission from erutato name Linny. Linny says, I noticed that you usually talk about meeting up with friends from overseas while living in Japan, or people who are foreigners but currently living in Japan, usually related to your VA work. This has got me thinking. It's pretty well known that expats in Japan can be rather cliquey, as in they stick together in their own little bubbles, separate from the local Japanese community. Huh. And so, my questions are, how has it been making foreign friends versus Japanese friends? How do you feel about expat cliques? And what is your experience with them? Personally, I find it understandable, yet also curious how people uproot their lives and move to Japan only to live in these comfortable foreign bubbles. Huh. Very interesting question. Well, first of all, I have to say, most of my friends in Japan, especially my close friends, are in fact not Japanese. Most of them are people that I met online before I moved to Japan, and a lot of them are other foreigners who moved to Japan before me. It's funny that you say expats in Japan can be rather cliquey, but in my experience, it's Japanese people who like to form cliques. To be fair, I didn't really go to school here. I don't work in a traditional Japanese company, so maybe I just don't have enough experience with local Japanese people. But from my half a year experience going to voice acting school here in Japan, I found my classmates to be kind of cliquey. They very much only hang out with their little group of friends who they're already very familiar with, and rarely did any of my classmates ever try to include me into their groups. Whenever I was accepted or invited to be a part of a group, it felt like they were doing it out of pity or just so that it's not awkward. And not actually because they wanted to get to know me or because they want to be friends with me. This is not to say that Japanese people are unkind. In fact, they are very kind, and I'm very grateful to the few classmates who did try talking to me. I just feel like we were never able to communicate at a level where I felt like we were truly friends. And it felt more like a classmate or acquaintance kind of relationship. If you've ever heard of honne and tatemae, they mean basically true feelings and what you show on the outside. It feels more like most of my interactions with Japanese people stops at tatemae, just like what they show on the outside. And I feel like I never get to hear their honne, what they truly think deep inside. I think that's partially why a lot of foreigners in Japan stick to each other too. It's simply because it takes a lot for a Japanese person to open up, especially to a foreigner. They like to stick to their own little bubble of Japanese people, so there's very little open space for a foreigner to come in. I don't know if it's just me, but I also find it way easier becoming friends with people who speak English. Like, I'm 100% fluent in Japanese, you guys know this. I have no problem communicating in Japanese at all. And yet, somehow I prefer making friends who speak English because it's something about the English language. Something about the English language just breaks the ice better. Because in Japanese, when you meet someone for the first time, it's like, konnichiwa, hajimemashite. And it's so formal. It's like I'm greeting someone at work, you know? But that's how you need to be. That's what's expected of you, unless you're already really close to someone. But in English, it's okay and acceptable to just go, hey, how's it going? Hi, nice to meet you. Which sounds way more casual and approachable, you know? I'm quite socially awkward with people who I'm not familiar with. And when I get greeted with a very stern, serious, konnichiwa, hajimemashite, I get nervous. I feel like I need to put up a barrier because they are putting up a barrier first. So, yeah, I think that's why. It's just so formal. Like, even with friends, when we say goodbye, instead of being like, bye-bye, mata ne, or like, bye, see you again, it's more like, otsukare-sama desu. And I'm like, why am I saying otsukare-sama desu to my friend? We're friends. It should just be, bye-bye, mata ne, like really casual. But for some reason, it'll be otsukare-sama desu. And I'm like, oh my god, Japanese culture, everything is so formal. Like, I remember Hiro said that to me when we said goodbye when we hung out in Japan, and I was like, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, we're not at work. Why are you saying otsukare-sama desu? So, yeah. But then when it's in English, you know, it's just so much more casual. When I meet someone who speaks English in Japan, they will be much more casual and just go, hey, which makes it easier for me to be casual as well and less nervous with them. Of course, there's exceptions. Like, I'm good friends with a bunch of Japanese voice actors who record for Merriweather Media. They are like, they're so funny. They're so funny, like, oh my god. Japanese people seem quiet and reserved, but if you somehow manage to become good friends with them, they are deranged as hell. And they talk about some cursed stuff. It's hilarious. But I was only able to break into that bubble because these Japanese people were already longtime friends with AJ, who is a foreigner, and their way of communication, the type of jokes they're comfortable making with each other is already at a level of high trust. So I'm able to fit in and be much more comfortable talking to them, thanks to AJ introducing them to me. So yeah, in conclusion, I think it makes sense for people to want to stick with people who come from the same background. A lot of my Chinese friends who live in Japan primarily have Chinese friend groups too. I think it's just comforting being around people who understand your first language and your culture. I'm used to people being more friendly and open from growing up in Australia. So maybe that's why I find it easier talking to people who speak English, even though I'm fluent in Japanese. Actually, my favorite kind of people is multilingual people. Like, I don't think there's anything more comfortable for me than being able to switch between every language I know when talking to someone. And it's much easier to find a foreigner in Japan who speaks Japanese and English or Chinese, or to find a Japanese person who speaks English or Chinese. So I guess naturally I just made more foreign friends. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think people choose to be in cliques. I think it just happens naturally. I don't think people do it on purpose. It's probably just something natural that happens because you are drawn to people that you relate to. You are drawn to people who you feel comfortable with and understand you. And what naturally happens is that you become drawn to people who speak your first language and understand your culture. And until I meet more Japanese people who are willing to joke around and be more open with me, I think I'm gonna have more foreign friends than Japanese friends in Japan, probably. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for the question, Linny. Let me drink some water again. I keep forgetting to drink water. Okay, moving on. We now have some questions about video games. Your favorite. Okay, enough talk about Japan and life. And it's time to talk about some video games. We have a submission from erutato name Anon Amos. Hi and good morning, Erusha. I couldn't help but notice that you haven't streamed Game G in a while. As of writing, your last Game G stream was about 4 months ago. Since then, Game W content has not only filled the void left open, but skyrocketed the popularity of your channel. So, how are you feeling about Game G at the moment? What has Game G done to make you stop streaming it? And what would it have to do in order to bring you back? How do you feel about it in relation to Game W, not just as entertainment, but as a popular means to bring exposure to your channel and voice acting work? Personally, I know that my declining interest in Game G coincides with your declining streams. Specifically, not a single Region N character has made me want to wail the same way that many characters from Region F have, for various reasons. Yes, Game G. The game that has been every gacha content creator's punching bag for the past half a year or so. So in case anyone doesn't know what this is talking about, this is about Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. I don't feel the need to filter what I say about the games that I play because I'm not sponsored and I don't have any hate towards any parties. So I'm just gonna say the games as what they are in case people who are listening get confused. So to put it simply, the reason why I haven't been streaming Genshin as much is because it's just not fun to play right now. That's it. I didn't really enjoy Natlan as a region. None of the Natlan characters particularly caught my attention or were able to get me super attached to them. And I don't want to be streaming a game where I'm clearly not invested in the story or the characters. That would be boring for me and my viewers who are watching. This is not to say that Genshin sucks now. I still play Genshin, and I have hopes that I will enjoy Shinai's more as a region. But I don't enjoy Natlan. I don't find the new gimmicks fun to play, and most of all, as a character enjoyer, I just don't find myself becoming as strongly invested in any Natlan characters the same way I am invested in like Wanderer or Farina. I think the really bad change that they made is having tribal chronicles instead of story quests. Cause I did Kenich's tribal chronicle and it barely told me anything about him as a person. And it just didn't feel like as immersive of an experience as a story quest. I think they haven't updated hangout events in a while too. And I think those were really important to me for getting to know characters and becoming invested in them. And of course, the Natlan conquest also was not super enjoyable for me. Or maybe Fontaine was just too good, I don't know. But yeah, I just didn't really vibe with Natlan. I know Genshin has been under fire for a while now, and while I do agree that the devs can do a lot more to improve the game, I don't think it's necessary for me to outrightly express my disappointment for it on social media. I think the clearest and most to the point thing I can do is move on to playing a game that I'm having more fun with. And that is Wuthering Waves right now. I wasn't as invested in Wuthering Waves as I am now until version 1.3. It was just a really well-written story with a well-written character. I really love Shorekeeper. I found myself caring about her. I cared about her story. And that's what pulled me into the game more. And Genshin has done the same thing before. I still love Wanderer. I still love Farina. The emotional impact their stories had on me will never change. And all it'll take for Genshin to bring me back to streaming it is to just give me another story or character that resonates with me. That's all they have to do. I don't consider myself biased towards any particular game developer. I just play whatever gives me a better experience. Whatever makes me more excited. Whatever makes me happier. And right now that is Wuthering Waves. So I stream a lot of Wuthering Waves and not as much Genshin. I know a lot of Genshin players, especially those who started at launch like me, are in the same boat. And I genuinely hope that the devs will see the decrease in the amount of people who are enjoying their game and make the next region more exciting. Give us better stories and better characters that we can get invested in. I think Wuwa has a more dedicated fan base than Genshin right now because the devs really do listen to its players. And they always try to make the gaming experience better for the players. I feel more passion and love put into the writing, the animation, and the characterization of Wuwa's characters. Like, for example, with how they cast voice actors with different accents. Like how they market their characters in a way that not only appeals to one gender, but can appeal to multiple genders. And I will be holding that same standard for any other gacha game that I play. Like, I actually think it's so impressive, for example, how they marketed Phoebe. She's a cute girl. And obviously, normally cute girls sell better to the male player base, right? But they coded her combat style to be so card captor Sakura that me and my girlies saw her trailer and were like, oh my god, wait, she's a must pull now. Like, I just think it's so smart. Like, when they create a character, they're able to somehow market it, not just like, oh, this is Guna bait for the guys, or oh, this is Guna bait for the girls. Like, they actually put substance into a character, or they try to design the character in a way that whether you are male or female or neither, you can find appeal in the character. Same with Brand. Like, I see so many guys who are excited for Brand. And you'd expect people to be skipping Brand for Cantarella, right? But no, like, I see a lot of guys who think Brand is cool as fuck, because he's got that whole, like, pirate aesthetic going on, and he doesn't just appeal to a female player base. Guys think he's cool and want him too. His playstyle is cool, right? So I think that's something that's really good that Wuwa does, and something that I appreciate as a female player in a very male-dominated gacha game market. But yeah, I'm not sure why Wuwa in particular brought so many new people to my channel, but from what I can see, I think Wuwa fans are just more passionate and more excited about whatever new content the game is going to release next compared to Genshin fans right now. And I am simply one of those people who is also excited for what Wuwa is going to give us next. And people come to my channel so that we can be excited for it together. I think that's all it is. So yeah, gonna be pulling for Brand in 2 days. Very excited. Thank you for the question, Anon Amos. Alright, let's see. Moving on, we have another question about video games. Yay! Next, we have a submission from erutato named Mohammed. Thank you for your submission. Hello, Edu-san. I'm currently waiting for more video games that are coming out this year, like Monster Hunter Wilds, and Okami the sequel is one of them. I'm also planning on trying out Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth out of curiosity. I'm also waiting for new gacha games such as ANA NTA, I don't know what that is, Arknights, Endfield, and Azura Promilia. I was wondering if you have a video game that caught your interest. If you do, what video game are you into? Ah, yes, video game talk, because I am the biggest gamer around here. No, guys, I'm not a gamer. I'm not a gamer, but I'll try my best to talk about this. So first of all, yes, Monster Hunter Wilds. The game that everyone I follow and all of my friends on Steam are playing. Literally, it's so crazy. I open Steam, or I open my Discord, or I open my Twitch, or I open my anything, and everyone is playing Monster. Everyone is playing Monster Hunter Wilds right now. It almost makes me want to join in too. Maybe I'll play Monster Hunter Wilds too. Like, literally everyone is playing it. But yeah, Monster Hunter Wild looks fun. I'm definitely experiencing a little bit of FOMO because literally everyone and their moms are playing it right now. I've also been interested in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth for a really long time. I've always wanted to play FF7. I know a lot about the characters, even though I never played it. Like, I think I've done dubbing for Tifa before, for a fan project. And like, the characters are just so iconic and popular. I have so many friends who cosplay them. My queen, Uchida Maya, my favorite voice actress, Uchida Maya, her favorite video game character of all time is Tifa, and she used to have long black hair because she wanted to be Tifa so bad. Like, you know, I've never played FF7, but I know so many people who are really invested in it, and I know the characters, and I've consumed, like, fan content of FF7, even though I've never played the game. So I've always been super curious about it, and I really want to play it. I was genuinely so sad when the remake first came out, because it was on PS4, and I didn't have a PS4. Was it on PS4 or PS5? I think PS4, right? But it was on PS4, and I didn't have a PS4. But I really wanted to play it, and I was so sad. But now that it's available on PC, it's been on my wish list for a while, and I've been waiting for the right time to play it. I really wish I had more time to play games. Guys, JRPGs take so long to finish. But yeah, I really want to play Final Fantasy VII. That's like one of the top things on my to play list. I also really want to play Persona, but again, like, these games take so much time, and I don't have the time to play them. Maybe I'll stream them one day, who knows. And for gacha games, I am really excited for Arknights Endfield. I've always wanted to get into Arknights, and I actually tried playing the game, but the gameplay wasn't really my thing. Like, I think the characters are super cool, and I watched a bit of the anime, and I thought the lore was quite interesting as well, but the gameplay in the original, like, Arknights game just isn't really my thing. Like, I didn't really find the gameplay that fun. So when I heard that they were gonna make Arknights Endfield, I was like, this is my time. Finally, I can get into Arknights. I do really love the character designs, and a lot of my favorite voice actors are in Arknights. So yeah, I'm super excited for Endfield, and I am definitely going to be streaming it when it comes out. So yes, hopefully Endfield will start my Arknights arc. Again, thank you for the submission, Mohammed. Lots of video games that I want to play. Not enough time, unfortunately. Alright, let me drink some water. Next, moving on, we have a submission from Buttered Potato Bun. Hello, Edu. It's one of my first times writing a submission for a podcast, so I'm a little nervous, but I wanted to pass on the news that I have started dating someone. Oh my god, congrats! Finally! Erutatos are dating! Oh my god, finally! Congrats! To spill some tea, our confession date was full of mutual pining, and I was oblivious. In denial. We were hanging out and they made multiple signals, like giving me a quick hug when I was cold. Ooh. When they hugged my arm, I joked that they were my baby girl. What? Because I thought of Kaveh from Genshin. Okay. It wasn't until they suddenly interlocked fingers with me that I realized our feelings were mutual. We were both able to make our feelings clear after that. Okay? I want to thank Edu and the Erutato community for helping me get out of my shell and the new internet lingo. I've learned a lot by being here and I look forward to more in the future. Sincerely, a grateful Erutato. Well, first of all, Buttered Potato Bun, I am so happy for you! Congratulations on the new relationship. Finally an Erutato who is dating. I hope things have been going well for you between the time you sent this submission and now. Mutual pining is so peak. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know what mutual pining is basically when two people both have feelings for each other, so they both are pining for each other, but they're like too shy or too afraid to confess, make their feelings clear. So they're in this state of like, oh, I like you too, but the two of them don't know, and they're just like always like nervous around each other, and there's like a lot of like romantic sexual tension, but then like both of them are too scared to make the first move. That is what mutual pining is. And it is so peak. I love it. It's one of my favorite genres. Is it a genre? It's like one of my favorite tags, favorite genres in fanfictions. But yeah, it can get painful after a while if both parties are too afraid to confess or make their feelings clear. So I'm really glad that you were able to make your feelings clear and not drag this out for too long. I don't know if learning baby girl as a new internet lingo is a good thing, but I hope the person you said it to didn't mind it or thought it was funny. I'm gonna assume that because you didn't write any problems you were having or things you're unsure of, that the relationship is currently going well. But please feel free to send me a submission again if you want to ask for any advice on maintaining a good relationship. And that goes for all of you listening right now too. I've always said this in my live streams and my podcast episodes, but one of my favorite things to talk about and discuss is relationships. Whether you are currently in a relationship, looking for a relationship, or you just want to have a discussion on relationships in general, I got you. It's like literally my favorite thing to talk about. I love talking about perspectives on relationships, giving people advice on how to get that guy or get that girl. And if you are struggling with certain things relating to relationships, I think I can offer pretty good advice. Because I've been doing this shit since I was in primary school, okay? Like, whenever one of my friends had a crush, they come to me. I'm like the Lenai master. I'm pretty good, guys. Trust me. I was gonna say sauce, trust me, bro, but that doesn't sound very credible. I was the kind of girl who would drop my eraser by accident so that the guy who sits across my table will pick it up and maybe notice me. I was the type of girl who always carried around candy, tissues, and band-aids just in case the guy that I have a crush on in my class got hurt, needed a tissue, or was hungry, I don't know, so that I can like just pull it out of my pocket or my bag and then just like, hey, look, I have a band-aid here, and then it can be like an interaction between us, and then maybe like our hands will secretly touch, you know? So yes, guys, I am a pro. I've been doing this since primary school, so if you want some advice, I got you. Send your submission to Erusha's podcast, Shall We Talk, and maybe it will be featured on the next episode. Alright, thank you, Buttered Potato Bun, for the submission. Very happy to see that one of my erutatos is in a relationship now. Okay, next we have a submission from erutato name Lonely Erutato. Another submission that is related to relationships. So, Lonely Erutato says, do you think people who are afraid of rejection deserve to have that opinion? Huh, interesting. I've never asked anyone out before, and honestly, the idea of mustering up the courage to ask out somebody I like, just to be told no is terrifying to me. My mental health is too precious for me to risk that. Society understands all kinds of pain. We don't tell people with depression, just cheer up and do something that makes you happy. We don't tell people with PTSD, just forget about it, that was in the past. But relationship experts everywhere treat rejection like some minor inconvenience, and it's just words. There's billions of fish in the sea. Not only does that not make me feel better about being lonely, but I think it's pretty sad how rejection, and the fear of it, is a mental distress we just expect people to get over when we're so accepting of other just-in-your-head things. Interesting. I'm not asking how I can get over my fear of being rejected. I'm asking if you think it's valid to be afraid of it to the point where you don't want to ask someone out. And if you do somehow ask someone and get rejected, if it's valid to never want to do so again. Damn. That is a very deep question. Probably our deepest question today. Well, first of all, I think it's completely valid to fear rejection. I think everyone fears rejection to some extent, and this is not just within the context of relationships. It can be like going for a job interview, it can be trying to become friends with someone. It doesn't have to be relationships, right? There's all kinds of rejection in the world, and fearing it is completely normal. I think the reason why relationship experts and people who give advice tend to encourage others to get over the fear of rejection is because you can't grow and you can't move forward if you never get over it. So it really depends on what you want for yourself. Do you want to find a partner? Do you see others in a relationship and think to yourself, they look so happy, that looks so nice, I want that too? Or are you happy with where you are and happy just doing your own thing? If you want to find a significant other, it's going to be very difficult if you have a strong fear of rejection that you can't get over, because the chances of someone you like also finding you attractive and then also confessing to you first is significantly lower than if you were also willing to be the one to do the confessing. Of course, if you don't think the risk of being rejected is worth getting a higher chance of dating someone you love, then it's okay to just not ask anyone out. I think it's the same as any sort of mental turmoil people struggle with. If you have anxiety, for example, you have the choice to minimize being put into situations that could trigger your anxiety. Just don't attend social events. Do a job that doesn't require you to talk to people much, etc. And if you are content with your life that way, if you are content with your life not really interacting with people much, then you do you. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem arises when, let's say, your dream is to become an idol, to sing and to dance on stage. That is your dream. That is your life goal. That is what you want more than anything. And yet, you have stage fright. Now, that's something that directly hinders your ability to reach your goal, which then, in turn, hinders your ability to be happy with your life. If that's the situation that you're in, where your fear of rejection is hindering you from becoming happy, that's when you have to make a decision. Which is scarier? The possibility of being rejected, or the possibility of never finding a significant other? Whichever you choose, your choice is valid. But if the possibility of never finding a significant other is scarier to you, then inevitably you're going to have to make an effort to try and overcome your fear of being rejected. If your fear of being rejected, however, is stronger, then just don't ask anyone out. It's fine. You don't have to. Yeah. It's not just getting over it, it's acknowledging your fears and limits and challenging those to grow as a person. Very good comment. I agree. I think, the reason why, if you look up advice or if you listen to what relationship advice channels will say, and they always will encourage you to get over it, is because you can't grow as a person if you never acknowledge your fears and limits and try to overcome them. You have to challenge the things that you are afraid of. Otherwise, you will just be stuck in the same place and you will never be able to move on. But like I said, that doesn't mean it's not valid. It is still valid to not want to challenge your fears. If you're okay with where you are, and you're okay with not growing and moving forward, then just stay where you are. It's okay. It's okay. I'm sure we all have moments where, we kind of want to take that step forward, but our fear is kind of like, stopping us from doing it. And in the end, we decide to take the easy way out and decide to just not make that decision. That was actually me with moving to Japan. I mean, I finally did it last year, but before that, I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but when I was about to graduate high school, you know how you have those career counseling sessions with your teachers and supervisors, and they ask you, okay, so what do you want to do? What is your dream job? Which uni do you want to go to? What do you want to study? And you have to talk to them about it. Back then, I already had the dream of being a voice actor. That was already my dream. And back then, I already was I want to maybe move to Japan and work in Japan, and if possible, do a job that allows me to do some voice acting, which, very fortunately, I am currently in that position. But back when I was in my last year of high school, that still felt like such a far away goal. This was pre-COVID, and before I had started Fiverr, before I had a microphone, before I had a PC, before I had any sort of an online presence as erusha. So I was full of anxieties and uncertainties. I didn't feel like I could do it. I was only, 18, 17 back then, had never lived away from my parents. I've never even lived in a dorm before. So if I were to make the decision of, hey, I'm gonna go to uni in Japan, that would mean at the age of 17 or 18, with absolutely no work experience and no experience living by myself, I would just straight be jumping into living in a foreign country. And my fear of that was so strong that I backed out and I just went to university in Australia. But sometimes I think back to that, Sometimes I think back to that and think, maybe if I had more courage and I decided, you know what? The earlier I start, the younger I start, the better. And I just said, fuck it. And I just decided that I was gonna go to university in Japan. Maybe I would be further than where I am now. Maybe I would have made it into the professional Japanese voice acting industry because I would have started going to voice acting school younger. Who knows? I don't know. Or maybe the results could have been worse because I can't stand the pressure of being in Japan alone by myself at the young age of 17 or 18 with nobody around to help me, no family, no friends, no nothing. But yeah, back then in high school, I decided to stay in my comfort zone and just stay back in Australia and go to uni from my home with my parents looking after me. And it took me it took me like 4 years. It took me 3 years of uni and an extra year to finally have the confidence to move to Japan. Like, I could have moved right after I finished uni. I could have just decided, like, you know, fuck it, I'm gonna, like, quit uni in Australia halfway through and come to Japan instead. But I waited. I waited until I finished my bachelor's degree in Australia. And I waited an extra year of doing full-time freelance voice acting, translation, and live streaming before I felt comfortable enough to even try to move to Japan. And I would say maybe I wasted some time. I could have definitely made that leap earlier and come to Japan earlier and maybe achieved more things earlier. But that's okay, because even though it took me 4 or 5 years, I still did it. I still took that step. And now I have been living in Japan for a year. And nobody knows what would have happened if I decided to come here earlier. But thinking back, I think it was almost the right choice to wait before I decided to move here. Because I had friends. I had so many friends and acquaintances who live in Japan before I moved here. If you guys don't know, when I first moved here in April last year, I actually lived at my friend's house for a week before I moved into my share house, because it's really hard to find an open share house or an open apartment that you can move into right away as soon as you get here. So I was only able to find one that was open a week after my flight, and if I didn't have a friend who was willing to host me for a week, I would have had to just, I don't know, stay in a hotel or something, and that's a lot of money. So I'm really grateful to my friend, and my friends have honestly helped me so much. Like, whenever I didn't know how to do something, like for example, finding my own apartment, my friend, who is friends with a real estate agent, gave me that connection, and she helped me find my apartment. And I was able to skip all that bullshit where, you know, like how they say it's hard for foreigners to find an apartment in Japan, especially if you are a freelancer. And I was so afraid. I was so afraid that I wouldn't be able to find an apartment. That's why I booked a share house. But my friends were like super encouraging. They convinced me that the share house was ripping me off. Like, yeah, guys, I was paying 120k. 120k yen for a share house room with only a mini kitchen and nothing else. Everything else was shared utilities. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Like, I thought this was just what I had to bear with. But my friends heard how much I was paying for a share house room, and they were like, Edu, move out of there immediately. You are getting scammed. You can move into a nice apartment for cheaper than that. Trust me. And God, I'm so glad I listened to my friends, because right now I pay around 82k for a 1k apartment. It's not even an apartment, actually, it's a mansion. So it's more like a condo, and it's really nice. Has good soundproofing, and I do have to pay for utilities and for my Wi-Fi, but even if you add it all up, it's probably like 100k or less. So I am paying less now, living in a way better place compared to the share house that I was living in, which was more expensive. So yeah, it really helped that I had friends who live here, who have lived here for longer than me, to help me with things. And they really helped me settle in. So yeah, if anybody else is thinking about moving to Japan, it's very helpful to have friends here first, because a lot of the paperwork and rules in Japan can be super daunting, and especially if you're not super fluent in Japanese, you are going to struggle a lot. So having a friend here who has lived here for a while is so reassuring. Like, they'll be able to help you with so many things. On hindsight, every path we choose looks like it was right in hindsight, but there are multiple correct paths in life after all. Exactly. The hardest thing to do, get friends. It's okay. You can make friends online. Most of my friends who live in Japan, who I knew before I moved here, they are people that I met in a voice acting community, actually. Mostly Chinese people who live in Japan. People who also like anime, people who also like voice acting. I became really close to them during COVID. And now that I have moved here, I can call them over when I need help with building furniture. And I can just ask them whenever I don't know how to do something. Like, recently I bought a new chair, right? So I had to throw out my old chair that my friend gave me for free when I first moved here. And I didn't know how to throw out oversized garbage in Japan. So I just asked my friend. And they were like, oh yeah, so you just make a booking online or by phone, and then you go to the convenience store and you buy these tickets, and then you just stick it on the thing that you want to throw out and you just put it at the front of the building and you're done. I'm like, oh, great. Didn't even have to Google it. I didn't even have to Google it, just ask my friends. Oh. 120k yen for share house is actually insane. Oh yeah, I was definitely being scammed. I'm not gonna say which company this is, but I will say a lot of share house companies that are marketed towards foreigners will price up their properties a lot. And more often than not, they are going to be a scam. So if you have the means to do so, please do not stay in a share house. Unless you're only gonna be here for like half a year, then maybe a share house is okay, because initial fees for renting an apartment can be quite expensive. You have to pay an upfront fee. But yeah, if you're gonna be here for like a year or longer, just find an apartment, please. Do not stay in a share house. Alright. So, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the question from Lonely Erutato was actually the last submission that I had prepared for today. I was not expecting to have so much time left. So now I am going to go through my submissions again and see if I can pick up another one. Or I might pick up one of your questions in chat. So if anybody has a on-the-spot submission that they would like to send in for today's episode, go for it. I'm gonna open up a Q&A in chat. So if you have anything that you wanna ask me about, feel free to send it here. I am going to look at my Google Forms and see if we have any new submissions. Oh, we do have new submissions. Okay. Well, I guess I'll go through the new submissions then. So, we have a submission from Editato name Lowbar Animation. Thank you for your submission. Yo, Edu, you've been in lots of varied projects so far, including a couple of mine. Thank you again. Yes, always a pleasure to work with you. And will be in many more in the future. With that said, is there a kind of character role or type of project that you haven't done yet, but would like to? Huh. Also, if you wrote an original comic or series, what would it be about? Ooh, interesting question. A kind of character role or type of project that I haven't done yet. I I feel like at this point, I've been in everything. I've been in games, I've been in anime, I've been in just random video projects that people make for fun. Let me think. I think I've voiced like every type of character too, because that's what I market myself as. I can be a little girl, I can be a little boy, I can be a sexy One-san, I can be anything. I basically market myself so that I can go from Oni-chan to Ara. So I get a good amount of everything. I get to voice boys, I get to voice girls, I get to voice mummies, I get to voice lollies. What is something that I haven't really voiced yet? Maybe like animals? Actually, no, I've been commissioned to voice a cat before. Maybe I have done everything. I don't know if this counts, but I would like to get more Chinese roles. I actually don't get to do Chinese voice acting that often. Most of the work that I get is either Japanese or English. I'd say 70% Japanese, actually no, 60% Japanese and 30% English and 10% Chinese. Not even 10% Chinese. Maybe like 3% Chinese. So I don't know if this counts, but I would like to be involved in more Chinese projects. I would love it if more people can cast me for my Chinese speaking skills. And I like to challenge myself more on English voice acting too. I definitely get way more work for Japanese voiceover than English and Chinese, so it would be really nice if I can get more work for English and Chinese voiceover. As for the type of character, I genuinely can't think of a character type that I have not voiced yet. Maybe like a monster. Yeah, like a monster that just growls. I don't think I voiced that. Yeah, I've never voiced a monster. I don't know if I want to voice a monster though. That seems like it's gonna strain my throat a lot. But that would be cool to challenge Eru Kaiju. Just go. Maybe a monster. I was gonna say also like characters who talk like Pokemon. You know how like Pokemon just go Pika, Pikachu, and they just like make sounds and they don't really speak language. I was gonna say I want to do that too, but I actually already have. I voiced a character in this animation project where the main character doesn't talk and just makes sounds. So the entire time my dialogue is just ooh, ooh, ooh. You know, like it just makes cute little noises and that's it. I actually really enjoy doing that. I love making noises. So if there's any other projects out there that have a character that just makes noises, hit me up. I like making noises. And for if I wrote an original comic or series, what would it be about? Ooh, that's a loaded question. You're asking me, an ex-fanfic writer, what I would do if I wrote an original comic? Oh, the things I would do if I was able to draw. I've always wished that I was better at drawing from memory, because like I can draw. I don't know if you guys have seen my drawings, but like I can draw decently well. But I only know how to draw when I have a reference. So pretty much I can only copy and I can't really draw like my own original characters or style. So I've never really been able to make like an original comic or anything like that. But I do really love writing stories or just coming up with stories in my head. And I have OCs. I have OCs. I have an OC called Hayato, and I have an OC called Ayumu. They are childhood friends, because of course they are. And I have this mini, like, novel type story about these two characters who are childhood friends who grew up together and secretly have feelings. So yes, if I could make a original comic, if I could make an original comic and not like a fan doujinshi comic where I write about pre-existing characters, because if that was the case, I would definitely write about Caleb and MC from Love and Deep Space. But if it had to be completely original and not based on a pre-existing series, I would probably make that comic about my OCs Hayato and Ayumu. It's like a story that progresses from when they're children to middle school, where they start like getting teased by the people around them, like, oh, are you guys dating? Oh, you know, like kids tend to do that. And then at that point, they are still like kind of annoyed by it. But then by the time they're in high school, one of them starts developing feelings on the other, but the other one hasn't really noticed it. So then the tension starts to become a little tighter between them. And then it progresses to when they are in university. And then, dude, I have so much detail on this project. I think my setting was that one of them comes from an abusive household, and their father is like an alcoholic and a gambling addict or something. So he ends up like running away from home and then living with her instead. I have so much detail on this project that's never gonna come to life. And then, like, yeah, they start, like, living together. And then, you know, obviously, like, he has feelings for her. So there's, like, a lot of tension. And then, of course, what is a romance without a bit of a love triangle, right? So the love triangle comes in with, because they're in university. She has a kohai. She has a kohai at university who's getting bullied at school. And then she helps take pictures of like the bullies bullying him, and then she like sends it in to the teachers anonymously, and then the teachers kind of like deal with it. So and then he finds out that it was her who helped out, and then and then he's really grateful, and then they kind of become closer, and he's really good at math. So he starts tutoring her on math, and then they become really good friends. And then one day he goes to her place to like, I forgot what it was, like to study or something, and then he finds out that she's living with her childhood friend who is a guy. And then they look at each other in the eyes, and they have the whole anime rivalry thing going on, and it's like, who is this guy? Wait, I have a love rival? And yeah. So, damn, that was a lot of detail about this project that that is never gonna come to life. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe one day when I become rich, one day when I have enough money left over from paying for rent and living costs to commission an artist to draw a comic, maybe I'll make this a reality. Heck, it would be a dream of mine to have my own original story illustrated, and then have it voiced. I can voice the girl, and then I'll find like two of my voice actor friends to voice the kohai and the childhood friend. Oh my god, that would be so peak. But yeah, I think that's what I would make into a comic if I ever had the opportunity. As you can see, I already have the full story and characterization laid out. So yeah. Alright, thank you for your submission, Lobo Animation. Let me check if I have any other submissions on my Google Forms before I move to chat. Oh, we have another one! We have a submission from Legend Sleep, thank you! Oh, a very short one. Got a question. Do you have plans to open a P.O. box for any viewers giving gifts to you? Ah, the P.O. box question. Well, for now, I don't think I'm going to open a P.O. box anytime soon. Namely because I don't think I'm big enough or like famous enough. I don't think there's enough people who want to send me gifts for me to open a P.O. box. If you guys don't know, PO boxes actually cost quite a lot of money to maintain, so it's not really worth it unless you are going to be receiving a lot of things through a PO box. So yeah, I'm probably not going to get a PO box anytime soon, but if you would like to send me gifts, it's my birthday this month. I'm joking, you don't have to send me If you do want to send me gifts, I have a Amazon wishlist, and I also have a throne. I'm pretty sure you can get the links to both of those if you type commands in my chat, and my Amazon wishlist is usually linked in the pinned comment in every live stream. So if you want to buy me something, like if you want to buy me toilet paper, I would really appreciate that. If you want to buy me like toilet paper or rice or I don't know, a new keyboard, or just anything that I have on my list, you can just go through my Amazon wishlist or go through my throne. If there's something in particular that you want to get me that I don't have on my wishlist, I'm pretty sure there's a feature on Throne where you can suggest gifts. Oh my god, can I say? There was once where I got a suggested gift on Throne, and I was like, huh, that's rare. I don't usually get suggested gifts on Throne. And then I looked at it, and it was a ring. And I was like, who is this? Which one of y'all went to my throne and suggested a ring? It was a hella expensive ring too. Of course, I declined the suggestion, but I thought that was really funny. I also had someone, I think, put in the Asta cosplay for my throne. But yeah, if you want to suggest any gifts, you can just suggest it to my throne, or if it's on Amazon JP, you can just tell me in chat or DM me about it, or ping me in our Discord server, and I will add it to my wish list. So yeah. Okay, now let me have a look at what questions we have in today's live chat. Let's see. Oh my god, we have a lot. Okay. Let's see. Which one should I answer first? Why are you so passionate about voice acting? It's such a hard path and money is not consistent. What drives you to actually do it? Wow, really good question, Inelli Fox. Well, to answer that question, it all begins with when I started watching anime. I have been watching anime since I was like 4 or 5 years old, and it's always been my favorite media. And now that I'm in my early 20s, so it's been like 20 years or more since I started watching anime, and even now, anime is still a medium that I love very much, that I hold very dear to my heart, and it's something that always moves me and inspires me. And I think at some point, especially during like maybe late high school and middle school, I noticed that one of the reasons why anime, Japanese anime in particular, moved me so much was because of the voice acting. There was something about Japanese voice acting in particular that just really hit the right spot. I think the nuances that Japanese voice actors are able to capture and the way they're able to bring characters to life really enhances the viewing experience, and it's part of why I enjoy anime so much as a medium. If you guys don't know, I don't watch a lot of TV shows, I don't watch much movies, and I think that's just because there's nothing that touches me more than Japanese voice acting. It's just what hits me the most. And you know, when you discover something that really resonates with you, when you discover something that moves you, you become curious about it. And at least for me, it made me want to try it myself. And when I started doing it, I became hooked, because it was just so fun thinking about, if I was in this character's position, how would I feel? how would my voice sound? How would I breathe? Like, it just became really fun. I've always been a very empathetic person. I think I'm really good at like understanding emotions and putting myself in other people's shoes. I've always been a really emotional person as well. I cry very easily. I've actually cried on stream like 2 or 3 times. I haven't really been doing that recently, but yeah, I am a very emotional person, and I think because I am so emotional as a person, it means a lot to me to be able to kind of feel what a character is feeling and be able to portray that. And when I successfully accomplish that, and people praise me for it, and people tell me, yo, like, your acting really hit the right spot, like, I really felt that. Or when, you know, now that I'm working as a voice actor, when I voice people's original characters and they tell me, like, oh my god, thank you so much, you really, really brought my character to life. You breathed so much life into my character, like I could really feel the emotions, this is exactly what I imagined them to be, and they just seem so happy that I was able to bring this idea of this character that they created to life. It makes me so happy. There's nothing that gives me greater joy than being able to do that. So I think that's why I'm so passionate about voice acting. Yeah, I just really, really love bringing characters to life. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? We have a question from Muhammad. Which sports are you actually interested in? Mine is football and badminton. That's a very easy question to answer because I don't like sports. I've always been a sports hater ever since I was in primary school. Never liked sports. Would skip out in PE class as much as I can. But I can tell you my favorite sports anime. I like Haikyuu and Yowamushi Pedal. Those are my 2 favorite sports anime. If I had to say, like, if you put a gun to my head and forced me to play a sport, I would pick badminton, ping pong, or table tennis, or swimming, probably. I did swimming when I was young because, and I don't know if you guys know this, but in Australia it's compulsory to have swimming lessons. So that's why I can swim, but I can't ride a bike because cycling lessons are not compulsory, but swimming lessons were compulsory. Like, you had to learn how to swim. It's compulsory. So I do know how to swim. I haven't swam in a while, but back then when I did swim, I think I was pretty okay at it. I was good at freestyle. I don't think I'll be that good at it now, but I don't mind swimming. I don't mind badminton, and I don't mind table tennis. But overall, I'm not the biggest fan of sports. Sorry. I'm an indoor person, okay? I like staying home, watching anime, playing games, and just chilling. I don't really like playing sports. You can't ride a bike. Yes, I can't ride a bike because growing up, my family never owned a bike. How am I supposed to learn how to ride a bike if my family never owned one? Like, I just never was taught how. So, yes, I do not know how to ride a bike. Please do not make fun of me for it. Personally, I think it's more important to know how to swim than be able to ride a bike. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't really have any sports that I'm interested in. But in terms of like watching though, I enjoy watching volleyball and I enjoy watching gymnastics and I enjoy watching basketball. I'm not like super into it or anything, but I do enjoy watching volleyball, gymnastics, and basketball, and soccer too. Soccer's pretty cool to watch too, actually. But I have a bit of trauma with soccer, like real life soccer, or football. Sorry, I call it soccer. Because my my uncle was really into football or soccer, and growing up, like as a 5-year-old little girl, I would see my uncle just yell in front of the TV, and he would like swear. He would swear at the TV whenever his team is losing, and it was so scary. I have a really bad impression of people who are really into football. But if you don't yell and scream and swear at the TV like my uncle does, then you're good. Yes, the typical uncle who's into soccer. Yeah. Alright, moving on. Taking advice from you and awesome chatters about taking the first step. Your audio quality sounds great. How do you get it to sound so clear? I started streaming on Twitch back in December and would like some advice. I've been messing with it. The more I messed with it, the less I got. Okay, audio advice. So, I actually have never messed with my audio. I've had a few, like, mixer and, like, audio engineer friends tell me that I should install like certain programs that can make my audio sound clearer, but I think my audio sounds good as it is. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of background noise when like a car goes past my house and goes vroom, you'll hear it in the background. And maybe you can hear a bit of my laptop fan as well, but I think it's not that big of a deal. And I'm afraid that if I try to install something, it'll make my audio sound worse. So I just have everything on the default settings. Personally, I prefer condenser mics over dynamic mics. I don't know if you guys know the difference between microphones, but there are condenser mics and dynamic mics. Condenser mics are more sensitive and they absorb more audio, so that's why you'll be able to hear like background noise and stuff more. But I think the audio sounds cleaner, and not clean isn't the right word. I think the audio sounds clearer with condenser mics. And it's generally preferred to use a condenser mic for voice acting, so that's why I have a condenser mic. But a lot of streamers prefer using dynamic mics because dynamic mics kind of capture the audio that's the closest to the microphone. So when you're talking through a microphone, a dynamic mic will only pick up your voice, and it will kind of like not pick up the surrounding fan noises or background noises as much. So for people who primarily just stream, they prefer to use dynamic mics. But I'm a rebel, and I like condenser mics. So I've been using a condenser mic ever since I started streaming, and because I use the same mic for voice acting, I just use my Rode NT USB. So Ria, to answer your question, get a Rode NT USB. It's the GOAT. Rode mics in general are really good. If you want to splurge a little more and get a better one and connect it to an audio interface, you can get the Rode NT1 or 1A. But yeah, I have a really good experience with Rode microphones. Back when I did media in Australia, I took media class, which is basically like filmmaking class, if you guys don't know. Back when I did media in high school, we also exclusively only used Rode microphones, and it always produced amazing audio quality and was very easy to use. So I'm a Rode shill. Get a Rode microphone. Rode is great. Rode is really good, yeah. So yeah, that's my advice for audio equipment. If you're not sure about like how to tinker your audio settings to make it sound better, just don't do anything. I feel like if you try to tinker with the audio settings or like install things to make it sound better, but you don't actually know what you're doing, it's just gonna make it worse. So just keep it as it is, and if you have a friend or someone who's really familiar with it, let them do it for you. That's what I've been doing. Alright, let's see. What else do we have? So, Omaroso says, I found your channel through the Woola vlog, and it was so comfy and fun to watch. Can we expect more vlogs in the future? Also, who drew the chibi Eru? She looks so cute. Thank you for your question. Yes, I will definitely be making more vlogs for this channel. I am actually working on a few more right now. I have a vlog for Love and Deep Space events that I went to. I have a Thailand vlog that I would like to make. I don't know if my subscribers will enjoy a Thailand vlog, but I took a lot of videos in Thailand. It was my first time there, and Mudang is so cute. I took so many cute videos of Mudang. I really want to make the Thailand vlog, but I guess it's not like anime or game related, so it's a little lower on the priority list right now for editing. But yes, I have a lot, and I mean a lot of footage for vlogs. I'm actually thinking of upgrading my phone soon so that I can get better footage for vlogs. But yeah, another vlog that I'm thinking of making is a 1 year in Japan vlog, where I just cut together a bunch of clips that I took in my past year living in Japan. You know, like aquarium visits, museum visits, just random food that I had with friends, and collaborations and stuff that doesn't really fit into its own category of a video. I think I might just combine all of it into one video. I did take a video on the plane ride to Japan last year in April. Like the plane that I was on when I was flying to Japan on my move here. I took a video on the plane because I had this idea of like, maybe I want to make like a I moved to Japan or 1 year in Japan kind of video in the future. So I do have a lot of footage. So yes, 100% there's gonna be more vlogs. How long it'll take me to edit them, I don't know, but you can definitely expect more vlogs in the future. I also go to a lot of collaborations and events. Like, you can bet that every time there's a Wuthering Waves event in Tokyo, I'm gonna go. They actually recently just announced a pop-up event in Osaka, and I'm so sad because I can't go. I mean, to be honest, I could go, but do I really want to Shinkansen all the way to Osaka for like one pop-up event? But yeah, it's not in Tokyo this time, so I think I might miss out on this pop-up event. But if there's like a bigger event that's not in Tokyo, I'll probably go all the way to that city just to attend it. And you can bet that every Wuthering Waves event held in Tokyo, I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be filming. And yeah, a lot of collab cafes, movies, collaborations, you know, all the anime and game events going on in Japan. Whenever I go to one, I'm gonna be taking videos, so there's gonna be more vlogs. As for who did the chibi edu illustration, it is Marudochi on Fiverr. I've been working with them for a long time. I'm pretty sure I have them credited in the description for every vlog. If I don't, I will make sure to add that. I'm pretty sure I do. So if you scroll down to the description and look at the credits for the Chibi Edu artwork, you should be able to get a link to their Twitter. They actually drew the art for my podcast too. The thumbnail for today, the starting screen for today, the basically what do you call, like, representation art for my podcast is also done by Marudochi, the same person who drew Chibi Edu. And this little erutato that you see on the table right now is drawn by Marudochi too. So yeah, please go check out their work. They do really nice illustrations, and they've drawn a lot of stuff for me. They did the illustration for Vicarious Star. They did the illustration for my first year anniversary Donathon, and many more. So yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, let me see what else we have. If you have whatever power in real life, what power would it be? So what superpower would I want to have? Interesting. I want to have the power to teleport. Yeah, I think I want to teleport. I was gonna say read minds, but reading minds can be kind of like a double-edged sword, because you know, what if you read the mind of somebody that you love and it turns out that they actually hate you, and then you'll be hurt, right? And especially if you can't turn the ability off, it'll probably be really annoying just hearing people's inner thoughts all the time. So yeah, I think it would be being able to teleport. I absolutely hate plane rides. I don't know if I've said this before, but I can't eat airplane food. I will throw up if I eat airplane food. So what I do when I travel is I will eat at the airport, and then I will skip every meal on the flight. And if it's a long flight, I will make sure that I book one with a layover, so that when I go to my layover, I can eat at the airport. And then I get on the plane again, and I don't eat until I get off. Because if I eat on the plane, there is a 99.9% chance that I'm gonna throw up. Like, I just can't. I can't deal with airplane food. There was once where all I did was just eat a piece of watermelon and I threw up. I was like, surely if I just eat some fruits, it'll be fine, right? No, it was not fine. I ate like one piece of watermelon and I threw up. So I'm so traumatized that I just do not eat anything on the plane. And I absolutely hate plane rides. I hate going to the airport. I just think like the whole process of traveling is so tiresome. I don't really like walking. Yes, I'm lazy. So it would be really nice to be able to just teleport back to Australia whenever I want to see my parents. It would be really nice to be able to just teleport to Osaka to, you know, attend that Wuthering Waves pop-up event, you know? It would be really nice if I can just teleport to Canada to see my bestie Hannah. It would be really nice if I could just teleport to Thailand to see Mudang again. I could save so much money. I can save so much money on flight fees, on accommodation fees, because all I have to do is just teleport back home and sleep in my bed. Oh my god. Yeah, I could live in Japan without like renting a place, because I can just teleport back to my home in Australia to sleep. I could teleport back home, steal some food from the fridge, and then just like come back. I'd be like, Mom, I'll just leave my mom a note and be like, Mom, I stole some eggs from the fridge because I'm too lazy to buy eggs. Oh my god, that would be amazing. Yeah, teleportation it is. Also, it's just super long going anywhere from Australia. Yeah, that's the thing, especially with Australia, because I live in Melbourne. I'm from Melbourne, and if you guys don't know, Melbourne is at the very, very, very bottom of Australia. So just to get from Melbourne outside of Australia to like the top of Australia takes like what, like 4 hours? 5 hours? It's horrible. So yeah, just to go from Melbourne to Darwin, which is the top of Australia, it takes a few hours. So to fly from Australia to Japan takes so long. It's such a long flight. I am dreading the next time I have to go back. By the way, guys, I'm going to be going back around May. I gotta go back and replenish some of my medication that I can only get prescribed in Australia, and I just miss my parents. I miss my cats. I want to meet my cats again. And I'm just overall overdue for a visit back home. It's been a year since I was back. I also gotta go retrieve my Asta cosplay, because for one of the Donathon rewards, I owe you guys a cosplay face reveal. So I do already have Asta's cosplay, I just left it behind in Melbourne. I'm gonna go retrieve that in May. So you can expect a cosplay photo somewhere in the middle of this year. Hehehe. Edu forgetting that Hobart exists. Right! I mean, okay. Melbourne, I never said Melbourne was the most bottom. It is at the bottom though. There is a place called Tasmania that is even more bottom than Melbourne. But hey, I never said Melbourne was the most bottom. It's near the bottom. Edu cosplays as Edu. Yes, I am going to be cosplaying as my Honkai Star Rail twin. But yeah, do you have any other questions? I think I can do like one more. Oh, I think we had an interesting one from Neo earlier. Yeah, about nampa culture. Have you seen the nampa culture around Japan, and what's your impression of it so far? They call them nampa man, I think. You see them standing around Shibuya. Well, like Caffeine said, you just speak English and the nampa dudes will just immediately go away. I've surprisingly had quite a lot of encounters with nampa bros. I thought I would never get nampa'd because, like, I won't call myself ugly, but I'm definitely not as cute as a lot of the girls that I see in the streets of Tokyo. Like, I think I'm decently looking, and I think if I dress up, I can be cute, but am I like the cutest in the crowd? Definitely not. Definitely not. I'm definitely not like the cutest in the crowd. I don't wear like super strong makeup, and my hair is usually just done in like a really basic way. I just kind of like brush it and straighten it, and I pull my hair back on one side, and that's all I do. You'll see all these other girls though who are like literally sparkling. They'll have like brown, beautifully dyed hair with beautiful curls, and they'll have like jirai cam makeup, and they'll be like wearing the most like pretty clothing ever as if they're going to a fashion show or something. And basically my point is, I'm cute, but like compared to these Tokyo girls, I'm just a potato. So I never expect to be nampa'd when I go outside, and surprisingly, I do get nampa'd. It's happened to me around like 3 or 4 times in Ikebukuro, once in Ebisu, and once in Shibuya, I believe. It happens to me the most in Ikebukuro because I go to Ikebukuro the most. But usually what happens is they'll just come up to me suddenly and be like, "Hey, where are you going?" Or like, "Oh, hey, you look really cute." And then before they can say anything more, I'll just be like, "Oh, sorry, I don't speak Japanese," with like as much of a native accent as I can. And then they'll usually just walk away and leave me alone. I think the way I dress, because I do look Asian, and like my hairstyle, the way I like to dress myself is very Japanese style. So most of these nampa bros probably just assume that I'm Japanese. So that's why they come up to me. And the moment I open my mouth and I'm like, "Yo, bro," I'm like, not Japanese. I don't speak Japanese. They're like, sorry, and then they'll leave. So yes, nampa does happen more often than I expected, and it happens to you even when you're not the cutest girl on the streets. I thought that nampa bros only go for the cutest girls, but apparently if you're like just a little bit cute or like average looking, they'll still talk to you. I will say though, I can confirm that when I'm wearing like borderline pajama clothes, and I have my glasses on and no makeup, no nampa bro will talk to me. Nampa bros only talk to me when I'm like dressed up. I have makeup on, contact lenses, and like a cute outfit on. They don't talk to me when I'm in like borderline pajama outfit and have my glasses on and no makeup. So you have to be a little cute at least. You have to be a little cute and then they might talk to you. But you don't have to be the cutest on the street. It's not as scary as I thought it would be because they're genuinely very passive about it. They'll just come up to you and talk to you very calmly, like, "Hey, where are you going? Hey, you're cute." And it doesn't sound like aggressive or anything, because in Japanese it's like, "Ah, sumimasen, kawaii desu ne." Like, it's not like as creepy, I feel like, as if someone were to come up to me and be like, "Hey girl, you're cute." You know, like, it's maybe it's just the Japanese language. It sounds a lot softer and less aggressive. So usually I'm not very nervous and I just calmly respond with, "Oh, I don't speak Japanese, sorry," and then they'll leave. Nampa basically means hitting on someone. So nampa bros are basically guys who randomly hit on girls on the streets. Yeah. Some of them are not even nampa bros, I think. Some of them might be scouts. To be fair, I don't know if the people who have talked to me are nampa or if they're scouts. A lot of times they are actually scouts, like people trying to scout you into the PORN industry. And there are some people who are trying to scam you as well. So I can't tell which one it is. It could be either. But they always start with the same thing, like, hey, where are you going? How are you doing? Are you by yourself? And you don't know if they're trying to get with you, or if they're trying to scam you, or if they're trying to scout you. So before they're able to tell me what they want to do, I just brush them off with a, sorry, I don't speak Japanese. So yeah, that is the best way to deal with nampa bros. I have never come across someone who speaks English, so saying, sorry, I don't speak Japanese always is able to get them to go away. Worst case, if they try to speak to me in English, I can be like, 对不起，我的英文其实也不是特别好。I'll pull out the Chinese and be like, oh, sorry, my English actually isn't that good either. I speak Chinese mostly. And then low-key, if they also pull out Chinese and are like, oh, 没关系，我也会中文, I'll be like, damn, you trilingual? Okay, you know what? Let's hear what you've got to say. So, nampa bros, before you talk to me again, get good. Get trilingual. Get trilingual and maybe I'll listen to what you have to say. Yeah. Compared to Japan nampa getting hit on, how's Australia? I've never been hit on in Australia. I think, I don't think it's because Australians hit on people less, but more so because I'm not attractive to Australian people. I think in Australia, what people generally consider as an attractive woman for Asians would be an ABG. If you don't know what an ABG is, it means an Asian baby girl. Search it up. It's basically a kind of like whitewashed Asian girl who wears heavy makeup, usually has long hair, has their nails done, wears like skimpy clothes. Like basically they're Asian, but they dress more like a white girl who goes partying, if that makes sense. I'm not an ABG. I do not dress like an ABG. I dress very modestly. I like to wear my long skirts. And generally, my fashion and style is much more modest and similar to Japanese people than Western people. So I don't think Westerners find me attractive. I don't think I fit the beauty standards for what Australian guys would consider attractive. So that's why I have never been hit on in Australia, but I do get hit on sometimes in Japan. Yeah. Great, to end today's podcast episode with some talk on nampa. But yeah, so I think this is a good place to wrap up today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed the 5th episode of my podcast, erusha no Shadowy Talk, where we talk about otaku culture, voice acting, language learning, life in Japan, and more. I was your host, Erusha, a trilingual voice actress and Vtuber fluent in English, Japanese, and Mandarin Chinese. This was actually supposed to be a monthly podcast when I first introduced it, but due to a lack of submissions, it's kind of become a when I get enough submissions, I'll do an episode kind of thing. So if you didn't get to send in a submission for today and you have a question you would like to ask me or a topic that you want me to go into a deep dive in, make sure to send in a submission for the next episode. And as a reminder, we do have a separate Google Forms for Japanese submissions. 実はこのラジオ番組なんと日本語版もあります。でもあまりにもお便りが来ないので全然できてないです。 なので今聞いてる日本語話せる方がいたらぜひぜひ日本語のラジオの方にもお便りを送ってください。I really would like to do another full Japanese episode, but unfortunately I just do not get enough submissions for the Japanese side. Like, I don't even get enough submissions for the English side of the podcast. So the recent episodes have all been English, but I would love to do another full Japanese episode when we get enough submissions. So yeah, check out the links for both the English and Japanese submission form, and if you would like to have your submission featured on the next episode, remember to send it in to the Google Forms linked below in today's stream. And I will see you again in the next episode. それじゃあまた次のラジオ会でお会いしましょう。またねー。エルシャのシャルウィートーク